Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn about abstraction and encapsulation. All code examples used in the videos will be available on GitHub. Let's get started.
Abstraction. This is a very important OOPS concept because that's why when you implement the concept of object, we should hide the details inside my object so that no one can access from this object. So related to that, this encapsulation abstraction. Okay, so this is another one OOPS concept. So let's understand this encapsulation and abstraction. What does it mean by this? And what is the advantage of using these two concepts in object-oriented programming approach? Why I'll use it, right? So let's understand these two concepts using a particular example. Fine. Okay. So let's see. I'm just giving one example now. So assume this is one customer. Customer one. So customer one want to withdraw some money. Customer one came in then bank ATM. Bank ATM. Fine. I'm just using an example, try to understand this concept. Customer came, the bank ATM. Fine. So what he want to do, that customer, he can withdraw amount. Withdraw amount. Fine. Or he can deposit amount. Deposit amount, right? Okay. Or he can he or she can check balance bank ATM, right? Or he can change pin, or can update any details about related to his card. So these are the tasks that can be done by a customer bank ATM, right? Okay. Now this bank ATM is providing one user interface, the customer, so that customer can interact with the ATM. It will give an UI layer to the customer. So this bank ATM is connected with a backend server. Fine. It's connected with a backend server. So we should not say what is the server name on the backend, in which location that server exists, what is the IP of the server. These details, assume it's an application server, and this application server is connected with a particular EIS tier. This EIS tier is nothing but is nothing but some data source, maybe a database also. I assume it's a database. So the bank ATM that we interact with, this ATM on the back end is connected with an application server, and that application server is connected with a particular database on the back end. And here also lots of configuration. You are not interacting with the actual server of the bank. None of the customer will interact with the actual server. Everyone will interact with the proxy server. So whatever it is, I'm not going into that. Now see here. Now this bank ATM is connected with a particular server on the back end. What is the location of the server? what is the database server location, what is the name of the server, what is the IP address of the database as well as the application server, right? All those details are hidden from the customer. If you want to know those details, then you'll find some security problem. So these are the details that is these are hidden from the customer. So what are the details is available to the customer? Customer can get the details related to his or her card, and he can do this task that is allowed to do to a particular customer. So the customer, he is going to interact with the bank ATM. He has been given some specific task that this customer is allowed to do or permitted using his or her card. He is not allowed to get any details about the banking backend side. That means this small banking application hidden the internal architecture, internal interactions, internal details of the bank from the customer. What customer need, those details only available to the customer. And all that internal details is hidden from the customer. Correct? So that is the point. That is the point. Same thing about you are interacting with a particular consumer device. Okay, assume you are interacting with Amazon Alexa. Now, when you are interacting with that particular device, you are allowed to do some task. How that device interacting with the cloud environment to give you the details, complete details are hidden from the customer. You are interacting with a particular device and you are allowed to you have some interaction, you have some permitted task to do with the particular device, but the internal architecture is completely hidden from the customer, right? So that we are talking about here, that the details and or the task that is allowed or that is available to the customer. Okay, the task that is available to the customer, this is called abstraction. The task that is permitted to do by customer or available to the customer or approved to the customer, so then we say that these are the abstraction. When I'm going to hide some details on the other side, internal architecture of the bank is hidden. Internal architecture of the bank is hidden. What are the different operations it is going to use, how many proxy servers it is using, and which proxy servers is using what type of integration technologies. Some server may use MuleSoft and on integration side, someone is using WSB on the integration side. Everything is hidden, right? So when this banking application is hiding some details on the other side, that is called encapsulation. Encapsulation means hiding some details, and abstraction means exposing some details. Fine. Encapsulation means hiding some details, and abstraction means exposing some functionality to the customer. Customer can interact with, right? So these are the two important concepts. How we define it, like we defined it like this: encapsulation equal to data hiding plus abstraction. Okay, we can define some of the technical specification is defining it like this. So the meaning of abstraction is exposing the function to the customer, and encapsulation means hiding the details. Fine. So if we define it like this, then how I can hide a particular details, data hiding. So data hiding, if you remember last day we talked about how we can hide a particular details inside an object. So that one we can implement in data member level, or we can implement in method level. Fine. So data member level, if I'm going to implement that, we can implement using private access specifier, as well as method level also we can implement using private access specifier. Because if you make your method or instance variable as private, you cannot access that method or instance variable outside the class, right? So that is the idea behind private access specifier. Using this private access specifier, you can implement data hiding, right? Last day we have given one examples. Today also I'll give you another one example just to understand. And abstraction will implement using abstract class. Abstraction we implement using abstract class and interface. Abstraction will implement using abstract class and interface. Okay, so what we have to understand is that how we can implement data hiding using private access specifier, and how we can implement abstraction using abstract class and interface. So that we have to know now, right? So let's do one by one. So first we talk about data hiding. Last we talked about private but using notepad. Today we'll do it using IDE. Just see it. This private access where I want to use on data member level as well as in method level. Should just see this. Yep. Right. Okay. So this is let's create one project, another one Java app2, file new, Java project. I'm using here Java app2. Fine. Okay. So this is a project we have created, and what I want is that private. So create one class, right click new class, and my class name is emp demo, assume, and it is defined inside this package main class, and it has a particular bean class like class emp. Fine. emp class have private int emp id, private string emp name, private string emp email. So we have total 3 instance variable inside this emp class, and these are all private type. Fine. Okay. Now here you can define one method also, like void show. Fine. And system.out.println inside show. Okay. Now here this emp, when you create any particular class, so generally create instance variable and right click source getters and setters, select all. Fine. Right click source constructor using fields. Okay. And right click source to string. So when you create any class, generally these are the common things that should be there inside a class, normal class. Class should have instance variable, getter, setters, constructor, and toString. If you remember last day talked about toString, right? So these are the basic syntax for a normal class. Fine. Okay. And we have a particular show method. Now what I'm going to do, I'm talking about the data hiding. So here instance variables are private, correct? So private, so I should not access this private variable value outside the class using object. So is it accessible? Just see here. So first one, what I'm going to do, data hiding in method variable. Fine. Okay. So variable level, how I can implement. So create an object of EMP, obj equal to new EMP. Correct. So I'm creating an EMP class object. Save it. Right. Now you don't have any default constructor, right? So you should provide one default constructor. Right click source, generate constructor using field. Right. Okay, provide one default constructor, EMP. Okay. Now we have created an EMP class object, and I want to access that instance variable value, right? Okay, so system dot out dot println. I can write here obj dot EMP ID. So when I'm right now, see here, I'm writing here obj dot EMP name. I'm writing here obj dot EMP email, right? Save it. So when you write like this, when you write like this, so if you see that we cannot access this instance variable value. Why? Because they are the public, private. So private variable value we cannot access outside the class. So this is an examples of data hiding in variable level, right? Okay. Second point is that if I want to implement data hiding in method level, if I want to do data hiding in method level, data hiding in method level, what I can do is that, so we have to make this display method as show method we have used, right? So you can write a particular method calculate ID. Okay, calculate ID. Okay, so and you make it as a private. Assume. Okay, so ID calculation. Okay, fine, save it. So this method is private method, right? So can I access this private method from my from outside? This is a private method. So can I access this method from outside here? So create an object of EMP obj equal to new EMP. I'm creating an object of EMP, and creating this object I'm calling obj dot calculate ID. Calculate ID. Obj dot calculate ID. Right. Now if you see, you cannot access this private method. It's a private method. Private method is not accessible outside your class. Correct. So how we can use a private method? Private method you can access only inside the same class, calculate ID. So if I want to access it the same class, you can write here inside this setter method, you can use calculate ID. Passing EMP ID. This is a calculate ID method, and you're calling this calculate ID method. Calculate ID method. So this is a calculate ID right here, int EID. Fine. So this calculate ID method, what you're going to call, you're calling from a particular setter method in your class. So this is a private method. It's a private method, and this private method you're calling inside the same class. So if you call this setter method, it's public method, you can call this setter method from outside, set emp id, right? So you can, it will not work. So you can write here obj dot set emp id, okay, equal 20. You can write like this. See, you're not calling this private method, right? When you call the set emp id, this set emp id is calling this private method. So this private method details is completely hidden from the customer, right? So this is how we can define data hiding in method level. Okay, so this is data hiding in data member level. Fine, using private access specifier. Okay, so that one only we have given here. We can implement, we can use this private access specifier to implement data hiding in method level and variable level. Fine. This is all about data hiding. Wherever you find in Java, everywhere, this is the basic syntax, basic idea. Fine. Next is that I've talked about abstraction. Just now we have given the idea. Abstraction means exposing the functionality to the customer. That is an abstraction. I've given one ATM example. Similarly, for any electronic device, assume you are interacting with a projector. So you can only use some of the tasks of a projector like switch on, switch off, right? Internal architecture of the projector is completely hidden from you. You are riding a car or bike. So you're familiar with the outer task, but internal architecture is completely hidden from you, right? So this is the thing, the task that is exposed to us, or the task that is allowed to us or permitted to do by us, that is not exposing that functionality is called abstraction, right? Okay, now how we can implement this abstraction in object-oriented programming approach? We can implement this abstraction using this abstract class and interface. Okay, so the question is that how we can implement abstraction in object-oriented programming approach. So if I want to see that side, then first you have to understand what is that abstract class, properties of abstract class. You have to understand an abstract class first. Then you see how we can implement the concept of abstraction using abstract class. Similarly, you have to understand interface, properties of an interface, how to use an interface in object-oriented programming approach. Then you'll understand how we can use an interface to implement the concept of abstraction, right? So before saying anything on abstraction, let's understand the properties of abstract class and interface first. Then I'll come into that abstraction using a case study. Okay, fine. So we can use that, right? So first, let's understand this concept first, abstract class concept. Abstract, the spelling is not correct. ABSTRACT, abstract class. Okay, so let's understand this abstract class concept first. So, okay, so now the question is here, it is going to start. Let me check how long time it is taking. It's now 1 hour we have. Okay. So let's talk about abstract class. We will understand A to Z about abstract class. not theoretically, but also using hands-on, we should see all the properties. Okay, so first point I want to say about abstract class. First point is that abstract is a keyword. Keyword Java. Abstract is a keyword. Keyword means I cannot create any class, variable, method using this name abstract. It's a keyword in Java. Okay. Okay, so I have one class, assume class shape. I have one class. Fine. So if I use this abstract keyword, before this keyword before this class, then this class become abstract. That's it. Fine. So what I say, second point. If we use the abstract keyword before class name, then the class become abstract. That's it. So if I use an abstract keyword before a class name, then class become abstract. So here shape, now shape is an abstract class. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now, so this shape abstract class, it's fine. There is no issues. Control C. If I want to get a shape abstract class, it will create. So right click, new class, and you can make the keyword abstract. And there is no problem, no error. Yes, that's an abstract class, right? Okay, fine. Now next property about abstract class is that inside an abstract class we have two types of method. Inside an abstract class we have two types of method. I'm just writing here. One is void show. Okay, this is one method. And I'm writing another one method, void area. Now see here, we have two types of method. This is called declaration, and this is called definition. Why saying definition? Because you are going to write something inside this method. You can writing something like something. Fine. So inside the abstract class, we have two types of method. Method with definition, and that has some body, and method with declaration that has no body, right? So these two types of method is possible inside abstract class. So you can write third point, abstract class have method with definition and declaration, both. Fine. So if it is, let me check. If it is, let me write this method with declaration and method with definition inside this. Now if you write this, you can see some error is coming. See here, some error is coming. If you see this error, it is saying that change it to abstract. That means if you make this method abstract, there is no error. Abstract, 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 so no error. So that means what? That means that method inside an abstract class, method with declaration must be abstract. Now definition. Just now you can see here, when you make it abstract, it are gone. That means inside an abstract class, method with declaration must be abstract. ABS, right? That you have to remember. So fourth property. Inside abstract class, method with declaration, declaration must be abstract. That's it. Method declaration must be abstract. So what we are talking about, we are just talking about the properties of an abstract class. We are just familiar ourselves with the properties of an abstract class. Fine. Okay. Now this is an abstract class. Fine. Now I can have a derived class. So I can have a derived class, right? So write one derived class here. Class as the derived class assume circle. Circle extends shape. Fine. Okay. So it's one derived class, right? So another property is that if any class extends an abstract class, see here, I'm writing on like this. Right click, source, format. See here, you can extend. Now see here, there is some error. Why? Because any class that will extend an abstract class must have to override all the abstract method that is declared inside an abstract class. Okay, that's why this error is coming. So if you override this, if I override this, right click, source, override. Which one? Show method. But area method. Area method I'm going to override. It is mandatory here. Yes, I have overridden this area method. Just see here with my own code. You can write your own code. Inside circle. Println inside circle. So we can say here like any class that extends an abstract class, any class that extends an abstract class must have to override all the abstract method. See, I've not overridden the show method, right? It is not mandatory. If you required, you can override, else not required. So, but you must have to override the abstract method. Now they are gone. Correct. So that is another one property. That is another one property here that we are talking about. So in this example, the same things we have overridden this. Remove some lines. So we have overridden this area method from overridden this area method right. Fine. And save it. Save it. So we can say like any class that extends an abstract class must have to override all the abstract method. Correct? Correct? Right? Okay, so let's add another one point. Fifth point. Any class that extends an abstract class that extends an abstract class must have to override all the abstract method declared inside the abstract class. Declared in the abstract class. Fine, right? Okay. Now here, yes, I have overridden this method from the shape class to my class. It should work fine. Okay. Now, assume you have another one main class. Assume you have another one main class, like class name is class main demo. Okay. So class main demo, class name in Java, class name should start with capital letter. Fine, as per Java API specification. So we should have a method here, public static void main string args. Fine. So this is my method. Fine, like this, right? Okay. Now what I'm doing is that I'm creating an object of this class. I'm talking about the properties now, and let me complete the properties, then I'm coming into why, how, what, all the 5W. So next property I'm talking about, I'm just creating an object of shape. Shape sh equal to new shape. Fine. So what I'm doing, I'm just creating an object of shape. Correct? I'm creating an object of shape, right? Fine. Just see here what is the problem if I create an object of shape. So see here, I've just created an object of shape. Shape is an abstract class. When creating an object of shape, it is giving cannot instantiate the type shape. That means that we cannot create an object of an abstract class. That means we cannot create an object of an abstract class. We can only create a reference. This is a reference. We cannot create an object of an abstract class. We can only create a reference. Fine. So it will not work. It will give an error. We can only create a reference. This is reference. Okay. So okay, fine. So next property got number 6. Like we cannot create an object of abstract class we can only create an reference of abstract class. That's it. Right? We cannot create an object of an abstract class. We can only create a reference of an abstract class. Fine. Okay. Now we'll say that what is the use of creating a reference, right? What is the use of creating a reference? Why I'm going to use an abstract class and some related details. Just see here. See, this abstract class concept came to implement the concept of abstraction. Okay. So in your derived class, you can have 10 derived class. You have multiple methods, right? Which method I want a client should get access. Those method I'm going to put inside an abstract class shape. Just now I've given one example. The functionality that is available to the customer, like change password, withdraw balance, deposit balance, change PIN, right? So the functionality that is available to the customer, only those functionality I'll make it available to the customer. So the functionality that I want to make available to the customer, I'll put them inside an abstract class. If I don't want some function should be available to the customer, I'll put inside a derived class. So the functionality that is available to the customer, that will put inside an abstract class. Why? Because using abstract class reference, it can point to any derived class. New circle. Remember last day talked about runtime polymorphism. What runtime polymorphism is saying? Runtime polymorphism is saying that the base class reference will point to derived class object. That is DMD, right? Base class reference will point to derived class object. So using base class reference, now the derived class object, now if I'm going to call sh.circle, sh.area, which area it is? It's an area of a shape class or it's an area of the circle class that is decided during runtime. So it's an area of a circle class. Base class reference is pointing to derived class object, and inside a derived class you can have 100 methods. Any of the methods we can reference using base class reference if you declare that method inside an abstract class. So the method that I want to declare, I want to expose to the customer, their declaration must be there inside an abstract class. Then only using runtime polymorphism, using the reference of shape, you can point out any of the derived class method like this. Right? So the abstract class concept first time came that in your class you can have 100 methods. So it is not good to check all the 100 methods step by step. We should always declare all the methods that I want to expose to the customer inside an abstract class. Then customer, with the reference of the base class or abstract class reference, it can call any one of the methods from any derived class in your object-oriented programming hierarchy, right? So this is the how we generally talk about this abstraction using abstract class. Okay, right? Okay. So this is nothing but an runtime polymorphism only that we talked about last day, but it is using an abstract class, top level class. So we generally in your object-oriented programming design, top level class we always declared as an abstract class. Top level class in your inheritance hierarchy, you always declare as an abstract class, and using that reference, I can point any one of the derived class object method, right? So this is nothing but a runtime polymorphism itself using an abstract class reference. Okay. Okay. So that we are talking about here. So that is the topic that we are talking one by one, abstract class. So what is this abstract class? This abstract class is nothing but a class with an keyword abstract. It becomes an abstract class. So we use, why I'm going to use this abstract class? This abstract class is used to implement the concept of abstraction. How? The method that I want to expose to the customer, I'll put all the method inside an abstract class. That I don't want to expose to the customer, don't put it. It has some properties. When I'm going to use this abstract class, if I want to implement the concept of abstraction using abstract class, then you can go with this abstract class concept. Fine, right? Okay. So this is how using an abstract class reference, we can point to any derived class. Method you can point using an abstract class reference. This is nothing but the concept of runtime polymorphism that we talked about last day, right? Okay. So till here everything is fine. In your object-oriented programming approach, you can implement abstract class. You can implement it using abstract class. So let's apply this abstract class concept in our clothing example, hands-on. Remember last day we have done one hands-on, right? Hands-on we have done using clothing, right? So let's apply this abstract class inside that hands-on. That clothing example we have done, shirt, trouser, right? So let's apply this concept of abstract class in this clothing example. Let's see how it look like, right? Okay. So what we'll do is that now today we'll do using this. So I'll do copy paste. I'm not going to write all the things now without wasting time. That clothing examples already have done last day. So just see here that I have to implement using abstract class. Yes, this one, right? Okay. So this is my clothing class. Clothing class. It's a clothing class. Clothing class is a top level class in the inheritance hierarchy, right? Okay. So create this clothing class. File, new, class. Class name is clothing. Assume my package is QQ, something like this. Fine. This is a clothing class, and this clothing class look like Control C, Control V. So this is a simple clothing class. Fine. No issues. Right click, source, format. So this is how a clothing class look like. Correct? Okay. Fine. Now we have two derived class, right? We have two derived class for the clothing class. What are the derived class? First one is shirt. Fine. So take the shirt class. Control C. Shirt class. Right click, new class. It's a derived class. Shirt. So inside the shirt class, save it. Right click, source, format. Save this. Fine. Okay. Next, we want to create another one class. That is a trouser class. Control C. Trouser class. Right click, new class. Trouser. Fine. Okay. So Control V. Now this is using super fine noises. Okay. We have done lots of modification. It's okay. Save it. No error, right? Okay, then you have to get the main class, the clothing demo, main class. Control C, copy, clothing demo.java, file, new class, clothing demo. Fine. So this clothing demo class contain this control V. Okay. So right click, source format, and here you can define it like this. This is also, you can define it like this. This one. Fine. Save it. So this one is working fine that we have done last year, and ID is increasing automatically. Fine for all the sort object. Now what you have to do is that in that case study, the top level class in this inheritance hierarchy is clothing, right? So what you have to do, we have to create this clothing, we have to use this clothing as an abstract class. We have to use this clothing as an abstract class, right? So use it as an abstract class, use it as an abstract class. Abstract. So till the time you have made it abstract, so you can see here no error, because abstract class, I told you that abstract class can have two types of method. One is method with declaration and method with definition. Now in these examples, we have not used any method with declaration. Now if I want, you can make a method with abstract method. You can define this one. You can make this display method as an abstract method. If you're making this display method as an abstract method, then you should not use any body. So in your class, abstract class, you have method with declaration and method with definition. Getter setters if you think as a method. So abstract class may contain constructor also. That you can remember. Abstract class may contain constructor also. Now, okay, but as we talked about just now that we cannot create an object of an abstract class, then what is the use of writing constructor in an abstract class, right? We should write, because when you're creating an object of shirt, you're using this super, right, to call the base class constructor. So to call the base class abstract class constructor from the derived class, we can use a constructor inside the abstract class also. So now here you have some error, right? So the error, because you have an abstract method inside this abstract class. See here, you have an abstract method inside this abstract class. That's why this error. This abstract method, right? So to override this, I can use it here. Save it. Right click, source. Override. Which method? Display method. You should override that abstract method, right? Doing it on anything else or not, you should override, because it's an abstract method in the abstract class, right? So right click, source, override, right? As you assume you're not doing anything using this, what I'm going to do in the clothing class. Now in the clothing class, when you're using this abstract class, we should use the concept of runtime polymorphism, right? We should always use runtime polymorphism in your object-oriented programming approach to implement the concept of polymorphism, right? So what we'll do is that here I have to use DMD clothing. Here clothing C1 equal to new shirt, right? Clothing C1 equal to new shirt, right? So super class reference should point to derived class object. Super class reference should point to derived class object, right? Similarly for the second shirt also, we can use clothing C2, clothing C3. Now you'll get one error, because this fit method is not a part of the base class. It's a part of derived class. Fit, correct? Fit is a part of derived class. It is not a part of a base class. So here you'll find a slight some error, because creating an base abstract class reference, I'm going to point derived class object. That time, this is an error you may face. So the solution is that you should control X. When you're overriding this display method, right, from base class to derived class, okay. So here, overriding base class to derived class, in the display method, write the code. Fine, in the short class, and call the display method from here. Sorry, c1.display, c1.display. Same like here also, c2.display. Same like here also, c3.display. Right? So what we have done? So it's working fine. It will work fine. Right click, run a Java application. See, it's working fine. Same like earlier. But the updation we have done, the clothing I have used as an abstract class. And we have two child class. And we have overdone the display method from the abstract class to my class. And I'm calling this display method, creating an object of superclass reference. And it is working fine. Right? So like this way, we can use abstract keyword or abstract class concept for a small case study approach. Fine. So if you see, this clothing is a class that is defined in the top level class in the inheritance hierarchy, right? So we can define it like this. Fine. Okay. Still now 25 minutes we have. Okay. Fine. Now, so this is the thing that we're talking about abstract class, right? So you're talking about this abstract class. So yes, we have done with this. Whatever we have abstract class, everything we talked about here. So if anyone have any questions on abstract class, you can tell me. Anyone have any queries about abstract class that we have used? Fine. So this okay, some meeting is there. Okay. Now we talked about the features about abstract class. Now what is the limitation of abstract class then? See, let me tell you now. Now we talked about everything fine, but when you're working on object-oriented programming approach using Java, you will find only 5% code will use. I'm saying only 5% code you will use. If I say 5%, if I say 3%, that is also fine. 3% code will use abstract class. Okay. And 97% code will use interface in object-oriented programming approach. I just given one margin like this. Okay. When we create our modules in your project modules, you'll find very rarely some of the abstract class is used. Some of the classes they have used as an abstract class, and most of the scenario you'll find interface only. 97% you'll find interface, right? So we should know the difference. Why only few classes I'm going to use as an abstract class? Now I'm going to use interface for abstraction. If I want to implement abstraction, then interface is acceptable one, not abstract class. Okay. Now then in which scenario I should go for abstract class and in which scenario I should go for abstract interface? What is the difference? So these things we should know, right? So before coming into the comparison between abstract class and interface, so let's first understand the interface concept first. Okay, before going into the comparison, in which scenario I should go for abstract class, in which scenario I should go for interface, and all those details before coming into that, let's first understand the properties of an interface. Okay, fine. So let's understand the properties of interface first. Interface. Let's understand first interface, then I'll come into comparison using code. Okay. Interface. So first point, if I want to say about interface, first point. Okay. First point is that same like earlier, interface is a keyword in Java. This is a keyword in Java. First point. Okay. Second point is that assume I have one interface here. I'm saying properties only now. Interface. You can use account. Assume it's an interface. So if I use that interface before a particular account, now it's it's called interface. Okay, interface name. So next property I want to say that in interface, if I declare a particular variable, that is by default public static final. Okay, so assume I'm declaring one variable here, like int ACC ID, account ID. Okay, equal to a HDFC 1 2 3 4 5 6, something like that. Fine. I've just declared one variable inside an interface. So second property is that if you declared any variable inside an interface, it is by default public static final. It is by default public static final. So already talked about the meaning of public static final, right? Static already I told you, right? Using class name I can access without creating an object. Final means constant, right? So any variable declared inside interface by default public static final. So if you don't try, then also it's like this. Next property. Any variable declared inside interface by default public static final, right? Next, number 3. Here one method. So method void create account method we have. Another is void delete account. We have another one method, right? We've written. So one method we have written with declaration, another method we have written definition, right? So let me check how it look like. Let me check. Control C. Here I'm creating one interface. So let's close them. Create one interface called account. Right click, new interface. Name of the interface is account. So this is my interface, and just see here inside an interface. If I declare a variable, it's in string type, right? String constant by default public static final. But if I declare a method like this, you'll find that you cannot write a particular method with body inside an interface. Okay. Now, so if I'm declaring a particular method, I cannot write a method with body, right? So interface methods are methods have only declaration, no definition. Though in Java 8 there is some changes. I'm coming into that Java 8 features. In Java 8 we can write. So till Java 7, we can have a method inside an interface without body, right? So interface methods have only declaration, no definition till Java 7. So you can write here. So I cannot write like this. So you can write here till Java 7 interface contain method with declaration only. Interface contain method with declaration only. I'm coming into Java 8 features. I'm coming. Let me complete this part, then coming. So till Java 7, interface contain methods only declaration only. Yes, method with declaration only, no definition. Okay, fine. Another point is that if you declare a particular method inside an interface, that is by default public and abstract. Okay, this method is by default public abstract. So interface method by default public and abstract. Interface method by default public and abstract. Okay, so number 4 point. Number 4, if you write or not write, it is by default public and abstract. Control X. Methods declared inside interface is by default public and abstract. Fine. So interface methods by default public and abstract. That is one of the property, right? Okay. Fine. Next, next property I want to say, I'm just talking about the properties only, make it a string. So any class that implements an interface must have to override all the abstract method that is declared in the interface. Assume you have a class. So class current account. Current account implements account. Okay. If you have to remember that class will always implement an interface. Class will always implement an interface, right? So any class that implements an interface must have to override all the abstract method that is declared in the interface. Provide the body here. Fine. Save it. And you'll not get any error. Control C. No error, right? Okay, there is another one. This error is coming due to some other reason. So the reason is that when I see this method is by default public and abstract, right? So there is one property in method overriding. I have not told here. And that is when I'm going to override a particular method from base class or interface, we have to override with strong or equal access specifier. Okay, so here the access specifier for this method is public, and public is already a strong access specifier, right? So when I'm going to override, then I have to use it public. I have to use it public. Property of method overriding. When I'm going to override a particular method from an abstract class or interface, I must, when I'm going to override, then I have to use either strong or equal access specifier. Here it is already public, so public is already a strong access specifier. So there is no strong better than public. So you have to make it public, right? So there is no error, right? Okay. So you can make it